안녕하세요. 저는 인도네시아에서 온 관과회원 무티아라 하이라니입니다. 반갑습니다. 인도네시아에 왔을 때 한국 드라마를 즐겨 봤어요. 그러다가 한국에 와서 대학을 다니게 됐어요. 한국 사극 드라마도 즐겨 봤어요. 왕과 왕비가 살고 그리고 신하들이 회의를 하고 그리고 궁녀들이 일하는 그런 궁궐에 관심이 생겼어요. 제가 제일 좋아하는 궁은 경복궁입니다. 그런데 AI한테 경복궁 그림을 보여달라고 했더니 엉뚱한 그림을 보였다는 제보가 있었어요. 예를 들면 궁 앞에 강이 있고 나룻배가 있다든지 산 꼭대기에 있다든지 이런 오해들. 제가 직접 경복궁을 소개해 드릴게요. 같이 갈까요? 경복궁은 대한민국 역사와 문화의 중심지로 여겨져요. 조선시대 왕실의 위엄과 격식을 제대로 알 수 있는 곳이거든요. 또 경복궁은 외국인 관광객이 많이 방문하는 서울의 랜드마크 중 하나입니다. 제가 경복궁을 사랑하는 이유 이제 아시겠죠? 한국에 대한 잘못된 정보를 바로 찾는 일, 여러분도 함께 해주세요.
해금은 두 줄로 된 한 악기인데 저도 처음에 시작하게 된 거는 그 두 줄에서 너무 다양한 소리가 나오는 게 너무 신기했고 일단 해금이 되게 사람의 목소리랑 좀 비슷하다고 많이들 하세요. 줄을 눌러서 이렇게 음을 계속 왔다 갔다 진동하는 그런 형태를 띠고 있다 보니까 애절하다라고 많이 말씀을 해주시는 것 같아요. 이 곡은 제가 좀 오래 좋아했던 친구에 대한 제 여러 감정을 담은 곡인데요. 슬펐던 마음 혹은 고마웠던 마음 이런 여러 가지 감정들을 한데 묶어서 마음이 담긴 곡이라고 할 수 있습니다. 현대적인 음악으로 이제 재구성하는 단계를 거칠 때 항상 중요하게 생각하는 거는 음악의 분위기를 해치지 않는 선에서는 뭔가 전통적인 주법들, 식임새 이런 전통의 냄새라고 할까요? 맛? 이런 걸 살릴 수 있는 요소들을 좀 집어넣으려고 하는 편이에요. 저는 요새 연주하면서도 스스로가 마음도 편하고 몸도 편안한 음악들을 좀 자주 들려드리고 싶다. 제가 음악으로 위로받았던 것처럼 제가 하는 음악들로 여러분들이 좀 위로받을 수 있는 순간이 있었으면 좋겠다. 그런 무대를 만들려고 노력해야겠다라는 생각을 했던 것 같습니다.
Global heritage will unite. We share brilliant values and honor the world's most cherished legacies to pass our heritage on to future generations. Busan invites you, the 48th session of UNESCO World Heritage Committee, July 2026, Busan, Korea.
In our headlines on this Thursday, January 15th, here in South Korea, Trade Minister Yo Han-gu extends his stay in the U.S. following the Trump administration's announcement of a 25% tariff on, quote, certain advanced computing chips. Meanwhile, the Bank of Korea decides to hold its benchmark interest rate steady at 2.5% for the fifth session in a row, taking into account the weak South Korean currency. And the National Assembly's first plenary session for this year comes to a halt amid a filibuster launched by the main opposition People Power Party as the ruling Democratic Party pushes to advance a sweeping second special prosecutor bill. We start with news of a decision to delay his return home from the U.S. by Trade Minister Yo Han-gu amid concerns over the broader implications of a recently announced 25% U.S. tariff on certain chips. Our Park Chun-han explains.
South Korea's Trade Minister Yo Han-gu decided to extend his stay in Washington amid concerns over U.S. tariffs on semiconductors. Minister Yo, who was visiting the U.S., announced on Wednesday local time that he would delay his return to Seoul by a day to assess the implications of U.S. President Donald Trump's latest proclamation on tariffs and trade issues. Speaking to reporters, Yo emphasized the need to closely monitor the developments, stating he was carefully watching the matter, but adding that it was difficult to comment on at this time. He added that his team is analyzing potential impacts on Korean companies. On Wednesday, Trump signed a proclamation imposing a 25% tariff on certain advanced chips, including NVIDIA and AMD's products manufactured by TSMC in Taiwan and imported into the U.S. for re-export. The U.S. administration framed the action under Section 232 of the Trade Expansion Act, citing national security risks from semiconductor imports that do not contribute to domestic supply chains or manufacturing capabilities. The proclamation effectively targets re-exports to China, allowing the U.S. to collect 25% of the sales value as a fee. However, the information reported that Beijing has advised domestic firms to purchase NVIDIA's H200 only under special circumstances, aiming to reduce China's reliance on foreign technology and strengthen its own industry. For South Korea, a major semiconductor exporter, Trump's proclamation raises concerns about wider tariff expansions. The White House fact sheet indicated that Trump may impose broader tariffs on imports of semiconductors and their derivative products, as well as an accompanying tariff offset program to incentivize domestic manufacture, as previously announced. The United States' actions could directly impact Korea's core industry, as any tariffs on re-exported chips could disrupt supply chains and increase costs for Korean tech giants Samsung Electronics and SK hynix. 박준환, Arirang News.
Meanwhile, the Trump administration's top finance officer shared a vote of confidence in the South Korean currency, which fueled a related rally. Our Kim Bo-kyung reports.
U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent has said that the recent depreciation of the Korean won was not in line with the country's strong economic fundamentals. In the press release on Wednesday, Bessent said that he had discussed the issue during his meeting with South Korea's Finance Minister Koo Yoon-chul earlier this week. He underlined that excess volatility in the foreign exchange market is undesirable, while reaffirming that Seoul's strong economic performance, especially in key industries that support America's economy, make the country a critical partner for the U.S. Bessent's remarks are closely related to Seoul's pledge worth $350 billion of investment in the U.S., which is considered one of the main factors contributing to the weakness of the Korean won. Still, Bessent reportedly asked Koo for Seoul to fully and faithfully implement the investment agreement, saying it would further boost Korea-U.S. economic partnership and the revitalization of U.S. industrial capacity. Following Bessent's remarks, the won strengthened against the dollar in overnight trading, closing at 1,464 won per dollar. With the U.S. having a higher interest rate than Korea and expected to see economic growth that's around 0.3 percentage points stronger than Korea's economic growth rate, the exchange rate difficulties are not easy to resolve.
The U.S. economy is expected to maintain solid growth, supported by AI investment, tax cuts, and interest rate reductions.
Seoul is in a difficult place regarding the weak Korean won, as the U.S. has already rejected South Korea's proposal of requesting an unlimited bilateral currency swap. Kim Bo-kyung, Arirang News.
President Lee Jae-myung sat down with Chairman Khaldoon Khalifa Al Mubarak of Abu Dhabi's Executive Affairs Authority at the Blue House earlier on this Thursday. On the agenda were ways to put into action pledged partnership in the defense industry, artificial intelligence, and energy. President Lee also took the occasion to share his thoughts for his hopes, that is, for 100 years of continued cooperation. The president was in Abu Dhabi back in November on a state visit and met with President Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan, whom he invited to South Korea. Policymakers at the central bank have decided to hold steady their benchmark interest rate at 2.5% for the fifth session in a row. Our Kim Jun-hong has more.
The Bank of Korea has kept its benchmark interest rate unchanged at an annual 2.5% amid the weakening Korean won. The unanimous decision was announced on Thursday following the central bank's first monetary policy meeting of the year.
The board judged it appropriate to maintain the current base rate while monitoring policy conditions. As inflation is expected to stabilize, growth is improving, and risks to financial stability persist. This decision was unanimous.
This marks the fifth consecutive session the board has stood pat on the rate, having paused its easing cycle in the second half of last year. The central bank noted that this year's economic growth is likely to broadly match the 1.8% forecast revised upward last November, citing a recovery in the semiconductor sector and improving growth in major economies. It added that this solid growth momentum has reduced the immediate need for a rate cut. However, uncertainties remain, particularly regarding the foreign exchange market. The rising $1 exchange rate and continued gains in housing prices in the Seoul metropolitan area were cited as key factors behind the decision. Governor Lee was direct when asked if the currency volatility was the primary driver.
To the question of whether the exchange rate was the biggest factor, the answer is yes. I don't believe the stabilization policies at the end of the year were ineffective, but rather it was an occasion to confirm where our weaknesses lie.
The governor added that monetary policy decisions going forward will be made with close attention to inflation trends and risks to financial stability at home and abroad. In a shift from the Bank of Korea's previous monetary statements, its statement for Thursday's rate decision made no mention of a potential rate cut in the future. This is being seen as a sign of a possible shift in the direction of future interest rates. Kim Junong, Arirang News.
The government, meanwhile, will improve business regulations to tackle challenges faced by small and medium-sized businesses. Intentions to this end were shared during a policy coordination meeting at the government complex earlier on this Thursday, during which officials vowed to place priority on improving a total of 79 regulatory tasks. Prime Minister Kim Min-seok said the move seeks to align regulations with the reality on the ground. He also said the government will reform 67 government certification systems to ease the burden on businesses. The Parliament's first plenary session for this year came to a screeching halt this afternoon amid a filibuster against the sweeping second special prosecutor bill. Our National Assembly correspondent Moon Hae-ryun reports.
The National Assembly plunged into a standoff during its first plenary session of the year, after the ruling Democratic Party pushed ahead with a second comprehensive special prosecutor bill, triggering a filibuster by the main opposition People Power Party. The standoff followed the collapse of last-minute talks ahead of Thursday afternoon session, as the parties failed to narrow their differences over how to handle the Unification Church probe. Earlier floor leaders met under Speaker Woo Won-sik, but talks broke down as the Democratic Party pushed to advance the second special prosecutor bill. The People Power Party countered that unresolved disputes over the Unification Church probe must be addressed first. As the bill was put to the floor during the afternoon session, the People Power Party immediately launched a filibuster, calling the legislation politically motivated and accusing the ruling bloc of reviving past investigations for electoral gain. Opposition leaders argued the bill targets what they described as dead power, while ignoring allegations involving figures tied to the ruling camp.
What the public does not want is a far-fetched special prosecutor scheme to shield ruling party scandals and target the opposition for local elections.
The Democratic Party rejected those claims, accusing the opposition of blocking efforts to fully uncover alleged insurrection and abuse of power. DP floor leader Han Byung-do said the filibuster amounts to shielding wrongdoing, while leaving more than 180 long-stalled livelihood bills effectively asleep on the assembly floor.
The Democratic Party will end the filibuster with a termination vote tomorrow, pass the second special prosecutor bill, and turn the Assembly's focus back to livelihoods.
Under National Assembly rules, a filibuster can only be terminated after 24 hours have elapsed and at least 3/5 of lawmakers vote in favor. With the ruling bloc taking up the majority, the bill is expected to pass by Friday afternoon. Moon Hae-ryun, Arirang News.
In other news, K-beauty is reportedly reshaping the industry at a global scale, largely led by small businesses, and there is belief that legislative initiatives may serve to strengthen this new economic growth engine. Our An Sung-jin files this report.
Once a mid-sized player, this K-beauty company now boasts a market value that rivals industry heavyweights. It's been about 10 years since this company took off, relatively young by industry standards. Yet today, its influence extends far beyond the domestic market, reaching consumers around the world.
These products are built on strong technological capabilities, and these R&D-driven technologies resonate with consumers. The already high share of overseas sales through its unique products gives the company a competitive edge too.
Profits from overseas markets now account for nearly 80% of total revenue, further pushing the company to expand its global reach. Firms like this are rapidly adapting their distribution networks while closely tracking consumer preferences and beauty trends in individual overseas markets, surpassing the strategies of traditional conglomerates.
You guys have so many brands, right? So it's a high competition, so it must be good, otherwise you can't survive in these industries. So I just really want to try because it's like very popular.
Because it's really very popular. I don't know, it makes my skin really look better. I mean, I'm trying like healthier maybe.
Cosmetics are South Korea's top export category among small and medium-sized enterprises, and the country currently ranks as the world's third largest cosmetics exporter. Powered by cutting-edge technology and price competitiveness, South Korea's cosmetics industry is expanding globally. In 2025, cosmetics exports topped $100 billion, setting a new record high. The Lee Jae-myung administration has also acknowledged the need to further foster and support the cosmetics industry as part of its national policy agenda. While most existing laws focus on regulatory oversight, this lawmaker proposed legislation to expand investment in R&D and exports across the Korean cosmetics sector.
K-beauty is already globally recognized, but the industry itself is largely made up of small and medium-sized companies. The bill is designed to support the entire cosmetics value chain, from research and development to manufacturing, production, distribution, and sales, covering every stage of the industry.
Through broader government initiatives like this legislation, officials expect stronger global competitiveness, increased exports, and a more innovative future for South Korea's cosmetics industry. An Sung-jin, Arirang News.
Well, South Korea's advances in technology ranging from humanoid robots to beauty solutions based on AI received rave reviews at this year's Global Tech Show, raising much anticipation about their future applications. Our correspondent Kim Do-yeon reports.
The lights have dimmed at the Las Vegas Convention Center, but the buzz from CES 2026 is still resonating. While subject to final audits, so far the known attendance this year surged to over 148,000, with more than 55,000 international visitors. Physical AI was the defining trend for this year, technology that doesn't just process data, but physically interacts with us. And South Korean companies joined the trend noticed by the CES organizers, CTA themselves.
Humanoids had quite a big year with Hyundai showcasing their Atlas humanoid robot. We saw the K-Humanoid Alliance from Korea bring together a variety of different startups that are working in the humanoid space to really showcase how robotics are getting to this point where they're able to complement human labor and activity, because it's about coexisting with humanity and rather than displacing.
Beyond heavy industry, Korea's signature influence was felt in a sector it has long dominated, beauty. Kohlmark Korea made headlines by becoming the world's first cosmetics manufacturer to win the Best of Innovation award in this category. Their suction beauty device utilizes AI to analyze skin conditions in real time and apply treatments with mechanical precision, effectively blurring the line between cosmetics and medical devices.
So working to the idea that some people, when they want to get that feeling of better, maybe they don't want to have the stories associated with a scar that they have. Well, how about being able to cover it up with a tech device that can precisely treat it? And that's something that Kohlmark Korea was doing that I found to be really quite compelling.
From the showroom floor to the startup hub at Eureka Park, Korean innovation was ubiquitous. Over 1,000 Korean companies participated and swept innovation awards across the board. Kim Do-yeon, Arirang News.
Back here on the local front, a growing number of foreign travelers to Seoul are choosing to spend their time here like locals and not like tourists. Our Cho Young-eun was out and about.
For Holly and Macy, it's their very first trip to Korea. And on the way to their next stop, they pause at a street side instant photo booth. Once a familiar activity for young Koreans, instant photo booths have now become a must-do experience for foreign visitors, capturing memories the local way. Their day continues at a beauty retailer Olive Young, where personalized color consultations, skin analysis, and tailored recommendations offer a closer look at Korea's beauty culture.
We want to take back some beautiful skincare to Australia.
Yes.
Everyone here has incredible skin.
Yes. Yes, we're trying to meet a lot of people and asking local people for their recommendations.
Beyond Seoul's temples and palaces, more and more tourists are looking to experience how Koreans enjoy their daily lives, from visiting local cafes to eating the latest trending food. This neighborhood cafe has drawn visitors from around the world, all eager to try Korean-style salt bread that's gone viral on social media.
I chose this delicious salt bread bakery because it's really popular on social media, and I also love K-pop.
Yes, I think they're coming in greater numbers. There are a lot of Japanese people, a lot of people from Taiwan, and even a lot of people from New Zealand. So I am sensing the new trend.
From lining up at popular bakeries to enjoying local food like gomtang or beef bone soup, travelers are immersing themselves in Korea's everyday food culture. The Korea Tourism Organization says the shift is a natural result of K-content's global reach.
It seems to be a natural phenomenon resulting from Korean lifestyles being shared with the world in real time through K-content. Tourism itself is continuing to shift away from simply sightseeing toward more hands-on, experience-based, everyday life activities.
As Korea's daily life itself becomes a destination, traveling like a local is redefining what it means to visit Seoul. Cho Young-eun, Arirang News.
This is The World Now, bringing you everything you need to know from around the globe. In Iran, authorities have temporarily closed most of the country's airspace on Wednesday, signaling heightened security concerns as a deadly crackdown on nationwide protests continue. A notice posted on the Federal Aviation Administration website said Iran barred all flights except approved international arrivals and departures starting at 5:15 p.m. Eastern Time, with a restriction set to last at least until 7:30 p.m. and possibly longer. Meanwhile, the U.S.-based human rights activist news agency reports that at least 2,500 demonstrators have been killed over the past 17 days of unrest. The group said more than 18,000 people have been detained. It is relying on activist networks inside Iran for those figures, as independent verification remains impossible due to a nationwide internet blackout. Iran's judiciary has publicly called for rapid trials and possible executions of those arrested, warning of swift punishment to deter further protests. Against that backdrop, President Donald Trump said he had been told the executions would stop, though he said he would need to confirm this. The United States will halt immigrant visa processing for citizens of 75 countries over concerns that applicants could rely on public assistance after entry. The U.S. State Department on Wednesday ordered consular officers worldwide to suspend immigrant visa applications starting January 21st, although a full list of countries has yet to be released. The move follows a broader order issued in November, tightening public charge rules and builds on immigration and travel restrictions covering nearly 40 countries, including Brazil, Iran, Russia, and Somalia. The suspension does not apply to non-immigrant visas, such as tourist or business travel, but a separate directive instructed embassies to screen many temporary visa applicants for potential public benefits use, placing the burden of proof on applicants. In northeastern Thailand, at least 32 people were killed on Wednesday when a construction crane collapsed onto a moving passenger train. According to officials in Nakhon Ratchasima province, 64 people were injured, some critically, and 3 passengers are reportedly missing. The train and its 171 passengers were traveling from Bangkok to Ubon Ratchathani when the crane fell from an elevated section under construction and derailed several carriages. Authorities have launched an investigation and ordered work to be suspended at the site, part of a high-speed rail project intended to link Thailand with neighboring countries. A Chinese safety app, bluntly named Are You Dead?, has surged in popularity as millions of people living alone shared it online. The app prompts users to check in regularly and automatically alerts a designated emergency contact if no response is recorded for consecutive days. Developers announced Tuesday that the spike in downloads forced them to introduce a subscription fee to cover operating costs. The company also announced it will rebrand the app globally as China sees a sharp rise in one-person households, estimated at above 200 million. Chu Ji-hyun, Arirang News.
The cold snap is taking a short break today, but air quality is becoming a bigger concern. Fine dust from overseas came in through southwesterly winds, and yellow dust arrived later this afternoon. By late tonight, air quality could get worse, reaching very unhealthy levels in areas like Sejong, Gwangju, and Jeollabuk-do province. Temperatures are much milder than yesterday, though. Most areas started above freezing this morning, about 10 to 20 degrees warmer than the day before. The daytime temperatures reached as high as 6 degrees higher than average for this time of year. This milder trend is expected to continue through the weekend. Seoul and Daegu will start off at -1 degree Celsius tomorrow morning, Chuncheon at -3 degrees. Highs will rise up to 5 degrees in Seoul, 15 degrees in Gyeongju and Busan. However, dry weather advisories remain placed in eastern parts of the country, so extra care is necessary to prevent wildfires. That's all for Korea. Here are the weather conditions around the world. Those are the headlines at this hour here in South Korea. As always, thank you for watching.
올해가 한일 양국이 그리고 한일 양국민이 더욱 밀도 있는 교류와 협력을 통해 진정으로 더 가까워지고 함께 미래를 향해 힘차게 나아가는 새로운 60년의 원년이 되기를 진심으로 기대합니다.
おります。 今回の大統領のご訪問を皮切りに本年が日韓関係をさらなる高みに発展させる年となることを期待しております。
On Press Perspective today, we track the rise of K-beauty as a tangible economic engine for South Korea. Do stay with us. Hello and welcome to Press Perspective for this Thursday, January 15th here in Seoul. I'm Min Sun-hee. Today we take a deep dive into K-beauty, including its wellness initiatives. More on this, I have Fabian Kretschmer with German press agency DPA here in the studio. Fabian, welcome.
Thank you.
I also have Mariana Baroli with Italian weekly news magazine Panorama live on the line. Mariana, it's been a while. It's great to have you on.
Hi, Sunny. Nice to see you again. Thank you.
Right. We shall start here in the studio. Fabien, let's begin with details of a coverage by BBC regarding the economic power of K-beauty and your takeaways.
Yeah, the BBC did a very comprehensive research on the K-beauty industry and the economic impact. There were some really interesting numbers. So the domestic market here in Korea is valued at $13 billion in 2024. We don't have the new numbers for 2025, but it's really of huge significance, and that is only the domestic aspect. Korean beauty companies are exporting a lot. Actually, they just dethroned France as becoming the second biggest exporter in the world after the US. I mean, that's quite something. French beauty companies, they are the traditional players, and now a new player is rising very fast. The BBC article noted also several specifics why Korean beauty products are specifically popular. It mentioned the very unique ingredients. For example, one specific product was mentioned, a serum infused with snail mucin. I mean, it's kind of creative, but also very traditional. Yeah, the marketing of K-beauty products, I would say, is relatively innovative and specifically targeting Gen Zs. For example, on TikTok, there are many viral trends connected to K-beauty products. And then there's also one specific industrial aspect of it. The K-beauty industry is run by chaebol, by the big conglomerates mostly. That is very typical for Korea and also for semiconductors. It's the big conglomerates who run the show and not this medium-sized enterprises. Maybe just very briefly, my take is also that now K-beauty is getting very popular all over the world, but actually the obsession among Koreans for beauty, I think, is already very, very old. And just give you one example. If you walk through central Seoul in the Jongdo area, you also see sometimes older senior, like over 80-year-old men who are dressed in very neat suits and dandy style. And it's kind of impressive that even the older generation sometimes is very fashionably aware and very trendy.
Right. Mariana, within K-beauty, of course, there is K-skincare. And K-skincare is reportedly taking over the world, if you mean, especially online virally. What do you believe are the unique aspects, if you will, of K-skincare?
What I always say when I'm talking about the Korean skincare is that Korean skincare isn't just skincare, it's a whole mindset. So almost like a lifestyle philosophy. So in Korea, people like approach their skin the same way they approach their well-being, with consistency, patience, and like a very obsessive attention to comfort, not in a bad way, but a very obsessive attention. So, you know, if a product feels sticky or like very heavy, Korean people won't touch it, and that is exporting also from people to people abroad, because we're pushing brands to innovate texture and make them as light, silky, almost addictive, you know, touch. But there's another layer that people doesn't see from the side, which is technology. You talked about that before, and CES, I think, this year has shown that. So skincare is not just about formulas, but also devices. So AI tools and LED mask and home care technologies, all these things that makes it like your bathroom feel like being in a dermatology studio in some kind of way. So we were talking about CES before, like companies dominated the beauty tech conversation, and with Amore Pacific winning the Innovation Award, I think it's a huge sign. And their Skin Insight platform, which is incredible because it shows that like how far the industry has gone right now. So thinking that now you can analyze aging signals and in real time, and elasticity, texture, micro wrinkles, and all these kind of things that it were impossible to check before, like with in real time, it's amazing. And also it tailors routines based on your lifestyle and the environmental factors. So it's not a generic advice. So I think that skincare is taking a leap forward again. And having feedback instantly, it's very, very useful because now you can see what products you can use and what is best for you, and it also shows how brands evolve very speed and in a very futuristic way.
Right, indeed. As you said, quite a number of pundits spoke about how K-beauty left its mark at this year's World Tech Show, the CES. Fabien, the Wall Street Journal claims beyond beauty, Korea's well-aging treatments have been seeing a great American foot traffic to South Korea. Could you tell us more about this reality and what you've been observing on the ground?
Yeah, actually, already for the last 20 years, I would say, foreign tourists come here to Korea specifically for seeking some kind of cosmetic treatment. But I think it has just really becoming much more diverse. Not only that, back in the days, it was mostly Chinese people coming to Seoul, specifically to the Apgujeong area in Gangnam, to get, for example, some cosmetic surgery. Now there are much more like spa services, skincare treatments, and the people who come here are increasingly also often from the US, and that is, I would say, new. The Wall Street Journal, for example, was running an article, and the author, she herself, tried some anti-aging care here in Seoul, and she was quite impressed. And I think the reason why people come here from abroad is first, I mean, the reputation. K-beauty is a big thing. People see that, you know, in Korea, there's much experience also of how to treat beauty, how to treat skin. So I think that's the competency is here, like the experience. Then, of course, there's a lot of infrastructure, the whole like tourism infrastructure. Some beauty tourism, they create whole package deals that you get picked up from the airport, then driven to your hotel, and everything is very easy here and convenient. And price-wise, I would say it's relatively competitive. Yeah.
Right. Marianne, if I were to ask you to highlight the reasons behind the rising global interest in K-beauty, what would you choose to underscore?
As Fabien was said, the competency, I think it's that one of the biggest value, but also I think how holistic it feels. You know, it's very different from how we see it abroad, because Korea doesn't treat aging like something to fight as we do, but as something to navigate gracefully with. And I think it's very refreshing for so many people that like very tired of being aggressive messaging, like, or you're getting old, so you use some cream, blah, blah, blah. So the whole idea of well-aging, I think that resonates a lot abroad, and it's one of the main success. And also because I think it feels kinder and more realistic. So you take care of your skin today, but you have to thank for that tomorrow. So it's a very, very realistic approach. And then I think there is the cultural dimension, also with people watching K-pop and K-dramas and reality shows where you see people with this skin that looks fresh, glowing, always very natural. I think that that kind of narrative shapes expectation everywhere. So increase the popularity of this kind of K-beauty and K skincare. So at the same time, I think also the brands are very, very reactive for that, with studying consumer behavior. And you know, if one ingredient goes viral, this is the next big thing. So I think that are the main reasons why K-beauty is rising so fast.
Right, and perhaps expanding on what Marianne has just said, Fabien, what more can you tell us about the impact of K-culture on perhaps influencing beauty standards worldwide?
Yeah, well, when I compare to back when I was young, I would say that in Europe we mostly looked maybe towards America because the pop culture came from there, the influence, the trends, the celebrities. When I look at the young people now, I would say that the trends come from East Asia often. I mean, in Seoul on the street, like fashion-wise, for example, the clothes, the brands that the young people are wearing here, I think they are trend-setting, and then maybe next year you see that in Europe as well. At least in Germany, it's very obvious that the Korean aesthetic fits the zeitgeist, like it's kind of for example, for male beauty, back in the days, it was more like the classic masculinity, and now it's more like this androgynous look. I think that's maybe can be also influenced by Korea. Also the makeup and the colors. Yeah, in general, I would say the people here are much more fashion conscious compared to Europe, at least for my home country, I would say for Germany. But you can see that because Korea has this reputation that yeah, people have beautiful skin here. So whenever you go to a shop, a cosmetic, a beauty shop, you find a own category, an own section for Korean skincare products, and there you clearly see the influence. So I would say, yes, I mean the influence doesn't only go one way, it's vice versa. You also see young people picking up trends from Europe after they're traveling or so, or after they check their Instagram followers. But in general, I would say now Korea is a big trendsetter.
Right. Mariana, on a more cautious note, there are some pundits who believe that the K-beauty market itself was fueled by the presence of lookism and intense competition in diverse fields. What are your thoughts on this?
I think it's very true that Korea has a very competitive culture, both academically, professionally, socially, and I think that appearance plays a role in that dynamic, but I think that happens everywhere right now. So, and I think that if we frame K-beauty and K-skincare only as a reaction to lookism, we miss like a very deeper reality, because when I spend time, or when everyone spends time in Seoul as a foreigner and observe people's daily routine, they realize that they retouching their makeup or like doing skincare slowly everywhere, basically everywhere, also in cafes and everything. So, and you realize that skincare is more than self-management, I think, and it's more tied to some discipline and balance, and also a mental well-being, probably being well with themselves plays a huge role on that. So people follow their routines because it helps them feels like, I think, in control and centered, and not because someone is forcing them to be close or chase perfection. And I think that also it changed very much in the last few years, and the beauty standards have very softened. So I saw that in Milan also, as Fabian was saying, we're very impacted by the Asian way and the Korean way of beauty and makeup and skincare and everything. So I think younger generation are seeing that, and they're pushing for like individuality. So different styles, different skin goals, different identities. Everybody knows what they do and what they need to do and what they want to use. So I think that the real driver of K-beauty is the boom of the culture, the Korean culture everywhere in the world, and its care and rituals.
Fabian, what about you? What are your thoughts with regard to the price of beauty, if you will, here in the country? Is it driving a divide of sorts, do you think?
Well, you can make that point. I mean, taking care of your beauty is costly. It takes a lot of time, effort and money. And of course, if you already have a lot of money, you can also spend more on it. I think that is, to some degree, a problem that, you know, people in Korea have the feeling that they need to look beautiful also in terms of social capital in order to get a good job or leave a good impression. I mean, there's much more self-consciousness of I have to be perfect. And when you live in Seoul, I mean, and everyone around you looks gorgeous, the hair is perfect, the makeup is perfect. If you have the feeling that you don't fit in, that you don't meet those standards, who are arguably very high, it's easy to feel kind of judged or not good enough. So I would say the obsession with beauty does have also a more darker side. And I mean, at least with my life experience, and we have a lot of younger viewers, I'm sure, I would say that, I mean, if you're happy, testing a lot of beauty products, I mean, that's good, and it's a part of your maybe individuality and creativity. But in the end, it's not about that. I think beauty really comes more from within and how you feel and what kind of treatments you use. I think that this is only a superficial level, in my opinion.
Right, so you can't just be skin deep then. Mariana, some observers have shared concerns about the prospects of the K-beauty market, especially amid Mr. Trump's tariffs. What have you been hearing, and what are the variables ahead, do you think?
I think there's definitely some tension around the idea of new tariffs because the US is obviously one of the major markets with huge visibility for K-beauty. But I also saw that brands are running simulation review supply chains and trying to understand how pricing might shift in short term. But I don't think that the brands are panicking because Korean beauty is actually an industry that survived major political turbulence. So flexibility is part of their DNA. And to be honest with you, Sunny, I think that K beauty today is not like more dependent on one single region. So we cannot just look at the US. So South Asia is booming. Europe is reconnecting with Korean brands very strongly. Middle East as well is becoming a real hub for luxury, skincare and everything. And also the domestic demand remains incredibly strong as well. And I think that especially also and always often softens international shocks. So yes, tariffs may cause delays, adjustments, but they won't erase the global demand for Korean innovation as long as Korea keep producing texture formulas, technologies that feels very ahead of the curve and ahead of everything. I think consumers will follow tariffs or no tariffs, increasement or not.
Right, hopefully. Fabian, broadly speaking, do you see, there are people who say that K-beauty itself is also an example or a good impact on Korea's soft power, so to speak. That being said, do you see this particular market also perhaps positioning South Korea to take on a stronger middle power role going forward?
Yeah, I mean, that would be probably desirable for Korea. I mean, there's also competition. I mean, for example, in China, there's also a big trend now to boost their own domestic makeup brands, and they are getting, I think they learned a lot from the Korean example in terms of how the packaging is made, how the design, the aesthetics, the marketing, etc. So Korea does have competition, but I think so far it still has the lead. And why? Because of the cool reputation, the whole holistic, Korean wave that K-beauty is one part of. So I think they can benefit from the whole also pop culture trend. So in the future, yeah, it's definitely a middle power. South Korea, you have US, you have Europe, you have South Korea, you have also in the future more like Southeast Asian markets. So it's becoming a more global world.
Right, indeed it is. All right, on that positive note, we'll end today's talk. Fabian, as always, thank you very much for your time and your thoughts. Mariana, over in Italy, thank you very much for your insights today.
Thank you. Thank you, Sunny.
Right. Well, that ends this edition of Press Perspective. Thank you for watching. Do join us again same time tomorrow.
저희 누나가 발레를 하다 보니까 자연스럽게 누나 발레 학원에 따라가서 누나가 하는 모습을 보니까 저도 하고 싶다고 생각이 조금 들어서 발레 음악에 맞춰서 아무 춤이나 추다 보니까 그냥 그 음악에 맞춰서 제가 몸을 움직이는 게 재밌다고 느껴졌었는지 발레를 계속 하고 있더라고요. 나이가 좀 어릴 때 제가 가진 장점이 무엇인지도 모르고 아예 제가 가진 단점도 모를 때 발레를 시작했다 보니까 제일 큰 문제가 이제 평발이었던 것 같아요. 평발이다 보니까 발레를 할 때 쥐가 조금 많이 나는 편이라 그거를 견뎌가면서 춤을 계속 춰야 했던 거 그게 가장 극복하기 힘들었던 것 같고요. 제가 다리가 다른 친구들보다 조금 두껍다고 해서 제 다리를 조금 싫어했었는데 근데 이제 로잔에 갔다 오고 나서 오히려 제 다리에서 나오는 파워풀한 힘이 좋았다고 해주시는 분들도 있다는 걸 느껴가지고 그 두 개가 가장 극복하기도 힘들었고 기억에 남는 것 같아요. 프릭스티 로잔이라는 콩쿨 자체가 학생들 사이에서는 가장 크고 의미 있는 콩쿨이다 보니 제가 그 로잔 영상을 보면서 자라왔기 때문에 그 무대에 서서 제가 춤을 췄다는 것 자체가 엄청 인상 깊었던 것 같아요. 제가 걸어왔던 길, 이게 맞는 방법일까? 근데 그런 의구심을 다 없앨 수 있게 제가 가는 길이 맞았다라는 거를 확인시켜줬던 것 같아요. 그래서 그런 감정이 들어서 조금 감격스러웠던 것 같아요. 한 배역에만 잘 할 수 있는 명수가 아니라 어떠한 배역을 받아도 다 넣어서 소화해낼 수 있는 그런 스펙트럼이 넓은 명수가 되고 싶습니다.